My Dream Life Manifestation course with real business skills is available to join down below, and batch 1 of students starts on Monday, the 26th of August. So if you want to plan and build your dream life over the next 12 weeks, then click below and join now. Before we get into the podcast, I just want to let you know that my premium Dream Life Manifestation course with real business skills is available to join down below. In this course, over the next 12 weeks, you can expect to develop skills in building mindset and building business. In this course, you can expect to build skills in positive psychology, manifestation and visualization, stress management, as well as skills in digital marketing, sales, and analysis. Over the past 5 years, I've practiced these skills in the manifestation of my dream life, and in this course, I will teach you how to do all of this in just 12 weeks. Batch 1 starts on Monday, the 26th of August. So if you're interested to turbocharge the foundation of your dream life, if you want to plan and start to manifest your dream life in the next 12 weeks, then click below and join now. Hello and welcome back to Deep Topics with Shaun. I'm your host Shaun, and I'm so grateful and glad that you're joining us here today. This is episode 7 of the podcast, and in episode 7, I'm going to be talking more about how I manifested my dream life over the past 5 years. If you like this podcast and you want to subscribe for more notifications of upcoming episodes, then please click below and subscribe, as well as leave a like on this video if you found it helpful and useful, and leave a review or comment down below letting me know what you thought of this episode. Did you agree? Did you disagree? And let's start a conversation down below. So in today's episode, I want to talk more about how I manifested my dream life over the past 5 years. And this is a story that starts way back, let's say in my graduation year, which was 2018. So in 2018, I was working my first job as an assistant brand manager in this company called Unilever. And I was doing that job, having got that job in the previous year in 2017, which was the final year of my finance undergrad. I studied finance at the University of Cape Town, and in 2017, that was my final year. So after that year ended, I already knew that I was going to work at Unilever. And so in 2018, I started my job at Unilever, and I was in the graduate program. And within the first 3 months, I knew that my future at Unilever was limited because the manager that I was working with was extremely terrible and cruel. And working that job was really a painful, horrible experience for me. So one thing that I couldn't resonate with upfront was, I was already uncertain about my purpose in life. I was already uncertain about my passion. And having done a degree that was not at all in alignment with my authentic self, I was then moving into a career where I was told that the aim of this career is to be a manager. And I did not really know what a manager did or why did people want to be a manager, but I knew that I was following that career path. So as I continued to work with this manager that was very terrible and cruel, I started to feel very down and depressed about what I was doing in that business. And I felt a lot of pressure to try to be something that I could not connect with at a deep level. I could not understand what at all I was doing there. And all I knew at that point was that people did work and people earned money for work. And as a person, I must work and I must earn money for work. And people around me would tell me what a great and wonderful job that was. But internally, I knew that I was suffering and I was depressed and I really hated my life. And I was seeking every avenue to get out of there as fast as possible. As I continued to do that job, I continued to learn that there were various aspects about the graduate program that were no longer being put into play, and some things that were promised previously were not at all being delivered at the time. One of those things was remote working. Another one of those things was an international working opportunity. And so there were various things about the graduate program that I believed were going to be playing out, and they weren't they were no longer playing out. Even one of those things, such as rotations among the divisions, that was also a debatable aspect. And so that, in addition to the business being in a challenging situation, made a whole bunch of unfortunate circumstances come into play that had me leaving that job in kind of in September of 2018. And so in September of 2018, I really felt like a lot of the aspects of my life started to fall apart, because up until that point, I was told that, when I graduate, it's going to be so great and wonderful, and I'm going to work this amazing, wonderful job, and it's going to be blissful and wonderful, and I'm going to build this dream life. And it really did not end up happening that way. I was sad and depressed, and I was very much angry at this woman who really made my working experience so terrible and did not extend any empathy or compassion towards me the way I expected someone to do so. And that's not what I received. So after leaving that job, I first moved back to Greytown to live with my mom, and then I took some time, I took a month to decide what's going on with my life. I took a holiday and I went to spend a week in Cape Town to celebrate a friend's birthday, and I also at the time reconnected with an ex, and it really gave me a bit of clarity about where my life was going. But at that time, I was still obsessed with the advice of others. I was still not in alignment with who I was in my authentic self. And I did not take enough time yet to discover what my purpose was and where my authentic place in life was. In October, I got a call from a friend who was working at a startup in Joburg, and this startup was selling debt financing to SMEs. And I was told that this startup is looking for a client associate, and they would like for me to share my CV. And so while I think I was in the airport, I was going to Cape Town, and I remember doing my CV and sending it off, and then also doing my interview while I was living in the Airbnb in Cape Town. So I was successful at that job, and in November, I started that job. In previous podcast episodes, I remember telling you that I met the same type of demonic tyrant that my previous manager at Unilever was. And at this new company called Brighton Capital, I really was meeting like this very angry, narcissistic, tyrannical individual. And so it appeared that I had fallen into a cycle that attracted me to the same type of unhealthy personality that I was working with previously. And so when I noticed that, I also knew that my future at that business was limited, and at some point I'm going to leave. And so what I did was that when I was living in Joburg, I started to recognize that, okay, this job is not going to work out. And I already know it's not going to work out because I am working with this weird person who it's really challenging to go to work every day, because you end up being, I ended up being very fearful about, am I going to be shouted at today? Am I going to endure the fire, fury, and wrath of some weird person who's trying to make their problems my problems, and I'm not there to be anybody's emotional punching bag. So I recognized that the next step that I was going to take was I was going to go to art school. But at that point, I didn't know how I was going to go to art school. All I knew is that an application to art school required a portfolio, and I, at that point, did not have any idea how to draw. And the last time that I was passionate about drawing was when I was 6 years old. So I did not care, that I did not know how to draw. I bought a watercolor paint set, and I was just looking at like videos on YouTube, and I was just painting and drawing whatever I could possibly draw and paint. And I was creating these artworks and putting them on my wall all around. And so I was starting to build that portfolio. But in the meantime, while I was working that job as a client associate, I was putting my artworks on my wall and I was building my portfolio. When it came time to leave that job in June of 2019, I knew I was also very much super depressed, because at that point I was realizing that this job thing is not working out. I end up meeting the most fucked up people that you ever saw in your life. And I wondered really if that's what work was like. Is that what corporate work is like, where you go meet weird and terrible people who really make it difficult for you to do the job because you're too much absorbed in their narcissistic antics to actually get the job done. And so in that depression period, I remember also mentioning in a previous episode that, I was so much depressed that I even went to a psychologist and I was prescribed antidepressants. At that point, it was difficult for me to taste food. I was facing challenge, experiencing sexual attraction, and it was the deepest depression that I ever faced in my life because really the fundamental tenets of life were not playing out. What people told me about life was not playing out the way they said it would. And I was really confronted with, why did I spend like 24 years of my life following the advice of others when the advice of others was really, they didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. And my life was not following. When I tried to follow what they said would happen, it was not happening at all. And they really did not tell me about the challenges, the drama, the politics, the struggles, and how to deal with those things. So I developed that portfolio because I started to recognize that I cannot do another job. I cannot go into another job. Something weird is going on here. And I end up meeting the same type of weird, narcissistic, tyrannical personality that I do over and over again. 2 times is enough of an indication that the third time will also be there. And so I knew at that time I cannot be following this path anymore. And I need to now pursue my passion. I need to pursue my goals. I need to pursue my dreams. But I did not know what was my passion, what was my goal, what was my dreams. Luckily, gladly, I was doing meditation because I remember that the way I started doing meditation was recognizing that every time I go into that Joburg job, every time I go into that office, I'm going to meet this wrathful, angry, demonic entity. And so I want to be unaffected by his emotional volatility. And so I'm going to do meditation so that I can put myself in a peaceful, calm, and clear state of mind so that I can be as unaffected by this person's actions and behaviors as possible. It turns out then that when I left that job, meditation was my saving grace because even though I was depressed and suicidal, meditation helped me to see that at the back of my mind, there was a clear space in which I was there. I was there at the back of my mind, watching my mind take all of these thoughts about depression and suicide and want to end itself. But at the back of my mind, I was there, still having the space to say, no, not yet, or no, not today, or I don't want that, or I don't want to hurt the people in my life by leaving. And that for me was deep and insightful because it told me that even though my mind was offering these depressive, suicidal thoughts, that at the back of my mind, that's what I really was. I was not a mind. I was at the back of my mind watching the mind. And so from that practice of meditation, which when I left that job between June and August, as I was doing the application portfolio, going to the psychologist and so forth, I was really doing like 2 hours of meditation a day because I was starting to recognize that my mind was unhealthy. My mind was unhealthy. It was fed with all of these weird types of impressions. And there was a clarity at the back of my mind that I could only see in the meditation. And I wanted to bring out more of that clarity because that clarity felt like who I really was. I really was that silent space at the back of the mind that could view the thoughts and that could distance itself from the thoughts and could say no to suicide. And with the practice of meditation, I wanted to develop that more. That also helped me to develop or to be more in touch with my intuition and my authentic self. Because at that point, you remember, 24 years of listening to other people, 24 years of being a people pleaser, 24 years of saying others know what's best for me and I don't. It really put me in this weird state where I was too much dependent on the advice and guidance about this, and I was not recognizing at the time that they don't have a view of what it's like to be me. They don't have a view of what it's like to be in my life. They don't have a view of what it's like to do what I'm doing and to want what I'm wanting. And so they can only have a limited perspective of my lifespan, and therefore their views will always be a limited perspective. And therefore, if I want to thrive and flourish in my life, I need to start to dig up my authentic self, and I need to start to find out who am I and what do I want. And the meditation helped me do that. So I submitted that portfolio in August. I remember going to the post office and couriering that thing and sending the email to the administrative assistant at the time. Hey, I sent my package, my application and so forth. And I did not know whether I was going to get in, but anyways, I went to Greytown in September. I lived with my mom. By September to December, I went to live in Greytown, and I was living with my mom during that time, and I was still like pursuing income opportunities. I remember trying trading, and I remember watching all of these videos about trading, learning about the charts, learning about candlesticks and so forth. But I was also doing a lot of development on my mindset. I was doing meditation, I was reading spiritual texts. I read at the time Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, and it really revolutionized my perspective on that physical reality is only a temporary appearance, and there was something deep and impactful going on here. There was something called like an infinite consciousness, or what people call God. And so at the time, I remember that my life prior to that point was very much empty, because I was not resonating with the God thing at all. The last time I resonated with the God thing was maybe when I was in grade 7. When I was like 10 years old. I think I was maybe 10 or 11. I think I was in grade 5. And then the God thing, it was not resonating at all. I remember being too involved in school, in academics, in trying to be my depressed mom's caretaker. I remember I was too much involved in the drama of being bullied in high school, and suffering and rage and depression, and all of these things overwhelmed me. And only at the end of 2019 was I starting to come to grips with that there was something greater and higher going on in physical reality. And that book, Autobiography of a Yogi, in addition to doing the meditation, started to help me to discover that my understanding of God previously was wrong from what my religion was teaching me. And actually, God is this like infinite internal thing that can be uncovered in a meditative state. And so it started to bring back the color to my life. It started to bring back the vitality to my life, because, one thing when I was depressed and suicidal in Joburg was that at the back of my mind, it felt like my voice, but it felt like not my voice that was telling me, to hold on, that was telling me this is not the way. And that was so great for me, because I, at the time, did not even debate what's this. It did not even feel like a voice the way the internal monologue does. It felt like a knowing, like like a knowing of that it cannot go the way of the suicide. It needs to go the way of the thriving. It needs to go just like, I remember this insight, just like how you got yourself into this mess, so too can you get yourself out. But just like how step by step you took yourself into the space, so too can step by step you take yourself out. And that gave me hope, and that brought the light back. And I remember in January of 2020 discovering that, wait, I got into art school, and it was going to go that way. It was going to go that way. I got into art school. Amongst the thousands and thousands of applicants, I, who taught myself how to draw in like 3 months and submitted 10 other artworks of just me freestyling it, really got into art school. And my application was strong enough to do that. And I remember going to UCT in 2020, which was also the year of COVID. At that point, I started to recognize that now I'm becoming more in alignment with my dreams. And the thing that told me to go to art school was me reflecting on my 6 year old self and asking myself, when I was a child, what did I enjoy most? I enjoyed drawing. And so when I wanted to discover what was my authenticity and what was my authentic place in life and what was my path, the thing I did was to reflect on my childhood self and to ask, what did I really find deep, meaningful, and joyful and fulfilling during that time? And it was art. So going to art school was, of course, a no brainer. And I needed to find out where the funding is going to come from for this art school journey. I remember speaking to my mom, and we spoke about a student loan. And so I was doing all of this research about a student loan. And one of those ways, one of the things about a student loan was that, remember from my years of previous corporate work, I was using this account called Professional from Standard Bank. And Professional gave me like preferential interest rates on some of their products. So Standard Bank was the obvious option for me, but I still did my research amongst the banks, and I went. I agreed with my mom. We're going to take a student loan, and she's going to help me with this. And then we went there. It was successful, and I went to UCT. When I got to UCT, I remember being so fulfilled. I remember feeling so joyful. I remember feeling so grateful that my life was starting to bloom and blossom again. And I was no longer depressed and suicidal, that things were like I was thriving and flourishing, and the light was starting to come back to my eyes and to my life. And in one of the first drawing classes, I remember, we were doing a drawing exercise, and I remember going around the class and looking at my work compared to others. Remember, some of these kids have been doing art in their high school career, and they're very much like at pro level. And I remember feeling so bad about where my skill level was that I immediately went home. And I think it was that day or the next day that I changed my mindset so drastically within a couple hours that the next day when I took my drawings back into that class, it was like my observation of all of that skill level during that couple hours class was really like feeding my mind with what do I need to do to be at this level. And within the few hours after I went home, I absorbed and digested that, and I made sure that my drawings were meeting that level so that when I went into that class the next day, my skill level had improved so exponentially that I was really like feeling that now I was deserving of being there. And interestingly enough, well, sadly enough, COVID happened around March, and I went back to live with my aunt in April. In May, I went to live in Greytown with my mom, and all of the challenges with my uncle happened somewhere between June and August. And by August, I was ready. I was kicked out of that house, and I could not live there anymore. I could not call that my home, and so I had to leave. So I went. I remember sending an email to Shaun Abrahams of Residence Life asking whether the residences were open, and he said yes, luckily. So I remember going back to UCT. And I remember feeling that my September to December time at UCT was really like I was back to being fulfilled and joyful and optimistic and whole. And I was really like living my best life. I was living the life of my dreams, even though it was the COVID time and people were wearing masks. I was still like independent again. And I really thoroughly enjoyed that time, which was the end of my first year of art school. And also during that time, I recognized that there's an opportunity here for me to apply to be a subwarden at the Forest Hill residence, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to apply to be a subwarden, and I'm very much sufficiently prepared in professional work and professional demeanor to have a upper hand at this application. And I really feel positive about that. I'm going to become a subwarden, and I'm going to get this opportunity. So I sent that application and I got it. I got the role as a subwarden, and I knew that in my second year of art school that I was going to be a subwarden in Forest Hill residence. And also at the end of the first year of art school, my student loan had run out and I did not have any funding for the second year. So at that point, I did not know what I was going to do, but I knew that I might have to enter into debt territory with UCT and I might have to continue with the second year without having any funding. I'm going to pause it there and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to remind you again that my Dream Life Manifestation course with real business skills starts on the 26th of August. And in this course, you're going to turbocharge the development of the foundation of your dream life by incorporating the skills of the business mindset as well as the positive mindset over a 12-week period. At the end of this 12-week period, you're going to have skills in positive psychology, manifestation and visualization, and stress management. And you're going to also have built an online business by developing the skills of digital marketing, sales, and analysis so that you can sufficiently set yourself up for the manifestation of your dream life by working with me over the 12-week period to be able to incorporate the fundamentals of the dream life and start to plan and manifest your dream life in just 12 weeks. So if you're interested to plan and manifest your dream life over the next 12 weeks, then click below and join my Dream Life Manifestation course with real business skills, which starts on the 26th of August. Okay, so in 2021, I remember it was my second year of art school, and I was really like entering into my what felt like my second year of my dream life. The first year of my dream life was definitely going to art school, and now I was in the second year of my dream life. So I think the first thing for me to remember was that my dream life started at the point that I decided that I was going to tap into my authentic self. And even though I did not know what my authentic self was, my dream life started to manifest itself when I started to confront that even though I don't know what my dream life was, that I was going to have the willingness to discover what my dream life was. And I was going to have the willingness to discover what my authentic self is. And the way to do that was to sit more with myself in silence, and to do that through the practice of meditation. So in my second year of my dream life, which was my second year of art school, I think I knew at that point that UCT was not going to allow me to come back with a third year still indebted to them. And at the end of the second year, I need to start to find some type of plan of what I'm going to do next. And so all throughout my second year, I remember recognizing that there's no way that I can put, full wholehearted effort into this. I need to do my best. I need to meet an acceptable standard for me internally, and I need to pass. But I cannot be a superstar A student because I just have a subordinate job to do. I need to earn my money there, and I need to also focus on what's going to happen in the following year and where my life is going to go at that point. So all throughout my second year, I remember I did face depressive states sometime during May when I recognized truly that I was not going to have funding for a third year. But I really, at that point, recognized that I can channel that depressive state into the creation of artworks. And so a lot of my artworks from May to August of 2021 were me channeling my depression into the art and really like building something great and wonderful out of it. In August of 2021, I remember registering my first business at the CIPC, and I call that business OG Foundation because I remember that OG is like someone that is original, and I wanted that business to be like the foundation of the original. I did not know what service I was going to offer. I did not know what product I was going to offer. All I knew at that point was that the business it can be something like me, the foundation of me. If someone wants to become like me, then they must come to that business. And I did not even know what that meant at the time. So I registered that business, and I remember I spoke about this in the previous podcast that I purchased the dropshipping course, which was 7,000 Rand. I remember cashing some of my savings and purchasing that course. And I remember doing that course and trying out the creation of the website. And the first product that I tried to sell was these buttons that you can record some voice notes on, and it allows your pet to press a button and kind of like speak to you. But my drop shipping didn't work out. And anyways, I took those skills of creating the landing pages, creating a website, doing copywriting, doing social media content, and doing content creation, graphic design, all of those things. I took those skills. And at the end of my second year of art school, which was 2021, I remember that there was not going to be a third year, and I had to leave, and I went to live with my aunt in Petermaritzburg. So from December of 2021 all the way up until August of 2022 was me building my business. And I built a business around the first business I tried to do was drop shipping in the pet niche. The second business I tried to do was drop shipping in the spirituality niche with um, these glowing singing crosses. And there must have been a third business somewhere which was like a health type business. I was selling like this infrared device that had this like infrared healing light, which I don't even know was scientifically validated. But in all of those drop shipping businesses didn't work out. But I still learned the lessons of trial and error and all of these skill sets that I was applying at the time. The fourth business that I tried to do was landing pages. And then the fifth business that I tried to do was around April or May. And this was when I was starting to recognize that if I'm offering, I can start to put some of these skills in place to offer something in alignment with my passion and my personal brand. And at that point, the only thing I knew that I had passion about was meditation and spirituality. And so I started to recognize, well, I have skills in creating a landing page, and I have skills in creating a website, and I have skills in doing content creation, and I have skills in doing Facebook advertising campaigns. And so, can I put these skills into promoting myself and promoting a service that I can offer? And what would that service be? And so at the time, the only thing I could think of was something to do with coaching and something to do with spirituality. And luckily, I'd been working with Shaun Abrams, and Shaun Abrams was introducing me to coaching. So I merged the two and I said, let me do spiritual life coaching. So I created a pamphlet or some type of poster that outlined what is spiritual life coaching. And I remember putting my rates there, and I remember putting it on a Facebook advertising campaign. And I remember starting to get leads. People were interested, and I remember starting to get leads, and people were starting to come in seeking the service from me. And from May to June to July, I remember moving from one client to two clients to three clients. I remember moving from one session to 4 sessions to 12 sessions, and people were purchasing spiritual life coaching. And I started to see that the service I was offering was effective and impactful, and it was making a meaningful difference in the lives of others. And so that at that point, I started to have a conversation with my aunt, and I started to have a conversation with my grandmother about maybe it's time for me to go. I don't know where I'm going to go yet, but I am earning enough money for me to move out. And I was at the time exploring options in Pietermaritzburg, but also recognized that my dream life is really in Cape Town. Let me move to Cape Town and let me see what rentals are in Cape Town within a specific budget that I can pay for it. So I was on Gumtree and I was looking at all of these spaces that had rentals for under 2,000 Rand, because that's all the budget that I had for rent at the time. I remember finding places in Delft, and the one I found in Delft was 1,200 a month. And I remember contacting the person in September and telling them that, hey, I would like to move into this apartment. Can I move in at the end of September? And they said yes. And so I had the conversation, it came out of the blue for my aunt and my grandmother, but it was time to go, and I was moving to Cape Town. And as with many other decisions that I've told them about, I really did have a grasp on how it was going to go, but to them it was very sudden, and they did not have an understanding, but they had trust in that I knew what I was doing. And so I was ready to go. And that was year 3 of my dream life. I moved to Cape Town. When I was living in Delft, I faced my challenges, but my challenges were never really with the people or the environment. My challenges were more with like domestic disputes and feeling that the environment was really unhealthy for me because the walls of my apartment had this mold, and at times when the sewer would overflow, you could smell fecal matter in the air, and it was not at all helpful. It was not at all healthy for my body, my immune system, and so on. And I did face some health challenges from living there, but I was still living my dream life, and I was living in Cape Town, and I was independent, and I was so glad and grateful. And in year four of my dream life, which was 2023, it was August, and I did a psychedelic trip. And I remember having the insight that my my environment was unhealthy, and it's time to go. I was really literally in the shit, and I did not want that. And I reflected on where did I feel most whole and fulfilled. I always traveled to Claremont. I loved going to the Woolworths at Cavendish Square, and I loved going to Claremont and just walking around this premium suburb of Cape Town and feeling like, I'd love to live here someday. And so I remember applying for a job in August of 2023, and I applied for a job as a business intelligence analyst at this place called Hyperion Deb. And I remember getting that job. And so in August of 2023, I remember knowing that I'm going to work this job. And so I can start to look for a place to move. And I'm really going to, my income is going to increase now. And so now I can afford to live in a premium suburb. So the first premium suburb that I contemplated was Sunningdale. And I remember finding this woman on Facebook who was offering a room in her apartment for 5,000 Rand. And I remember going to view, and I took that place. So in August, at the end of August, I remember going for a week vacation at my aunt's place, and then knowing when I come back to Cape Town that in September I'm going to move to Sunningdale to live in this woman's apartment. Within 3 days of living with that woman, I really knew that she was controlling, and I really felt so trapped and vengeful, wrathful that she would try to have opinions on how I lived. Even though I'd lived with so many people before and I was a very clean and wholesome person, this woman was too much demanding and controlling. And I remember knowing at that point it was not going to work out and I needed to seek another place to live. But it was very much a painful experience for me, and I remember feeling so depressed at the same time that this living situation didn't work out, wrathful that this woman would try to control my living situation. And I remember feeling pressure also from that Hyperion Deb job because I was working with this manager who really could not be satisfied, and she thought that she was like the peak of management, and she thought that she had this like superior qualification from this Oxford or Cambridge, wherever the fuck that she had the superior qualification, and she felt like she was the queen of who knows what. Anyways, I was working with weird people and there was pressure from all sides, and my life was really much I was really feeling so much pressure internally that I remember the health conditions started to come up again, and that told me it was time to go. And I needed to find a new place to live. So I remember searching on Facebook. I found the place in Claremont that I'm living in right now, and I remember reaching out to my landlady, who turned out to be my landlady, Lindy. And hey, Lindy, I'm interested to move into Claremont. Can we meet? And I met Lindy. And from the first time I met Lindy, Lindy spoke to me as if I already got the place. She showed me the laundry room, she showed me the gardens, and Lindy was giving off good vibes. Lindy was giving off positive vibes. I could tell she was a healthy, whole, functioning person. She was not the demonic, fucked up entity like some of these people that I'd met previously. And she was really giving off clean, calm, clear energy. And so I was really happy with Lindy. I sent in my application, and I got it. I got it. And so at the end of September, I remember getting into an argument with the bitch from Sunningdale who was tapping at my door on the last day, asking me when I was going to leave, and it was my last day there. So I paid to live at that place until the last day. And I remember having an argument with her. But anyways, when I left, she wasn't around, and I was so glad I didn't have to see the bitch's face again. So I left and I came to move in my dream apartment in Claremont. And I think one point that I need to make throughout this time is that I throughout this entire time, it's never been butterflies and roses for me. There have been their challenges, and I still have had depressive incidents, and I've still faced weird, fucked up people, and I've still had faced my pressures with health and mental well-being and all of these things. But I have, ever since I decided to step into my authentic self, I have lived my dream life. And this is year 5 of living my dream life. Year 1 is 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. This is year 4. This is year 5 of living my dream life. And I'm so glad and grateful that I took that step way back then. So, having lived in my dream apartment for, I'm going on my 11th month now, and already in a previous episode mentioned that I'm not renewing this lease because I'm satisfied. I'm glad. I'm grateful. I've lived my dream life, and I've met the goals that I've had for myself. And there's really not much to do anymore in this apartment, having met the goals. And so I need a change of scenery temporarily, and I want to take a break, and I want to take a holiday, and I'm going to live with my aunt for a month or 2 or 3, and I'm going to see how that goes. And I'm going to take time to refresh and renew myself, and to be bored a little bit, and to give myself a break, and to love Cape Town again, and to set up more of the building of my dream life, to enable greater and greater context for freedom, to continue to build more income streams, to continue to strengthen my business, to continue to test my offerings, and to continue to provide more and more of the service that I believe I can provide to humanity, and to do the work that I believe that I was called to do. So even now, as I sit here, my business continues to be a refinement of the meditation and spirituality niche, which started way back in May of 2022, when it started off as spiritual life coaching. From spiritual life coaching, it turned into Shaun spiritual life coaching. Then it turned into the Deep Meditation Center, and then it turned into Deep Meditators, which is it is currently. But my business is registered as OG Foundation, and so deep down inside, I know that the thing that I continue to refine is taking the feedback of how the offering lands, taking the feedback of how my clients respond to the service, and asking them questions about the problems they face, asking them questions about the challenges they face, and continue to refine and strengthen my offering so that I move closer and closer towards the vision that I started off up front in August of 2021, which is OG Foundation. It's like, how can I help you be the best possible version of yourself? How can I help you get in touch with your authentic self? How can I help you discover what your true authenticity is, and to help you gather the courage to follow that? And so that is still something that I'm working on. That is still something that I'm figuring out. But it continues to be a work in progress as I practice the skills that I offer in my Dream Life Manifestation course. So, with my Dream Life Manifestation course, the important thing to recognize about it is that my Dream Life Manifestation course is exactly the same skills that I've put into place to manifest my dream life. And what that means is that over the past 5 years, there have been things that I've been doing that have made sure that I continuously stay in alignment with my authentic self, but also continuously have a vision of what my dream life is, and continue to walk the path that leads more and more towards the fulfillment of my dream life. So, one of the things that was important there was positive psychology, which I was introduced to that by Shaun. And positive psychology helped me to recognize that there were some well renowned and trusted researchers on earth that did some research about positive psychology, and they came up with some fundamental frameworks to show us that if there are specific outcomes that we want in our lives, we can align ourselves with these frameworks so that we can improve and increase the likelihood of creating these outcomes. And one of these things is the Whoop tool by Gabriel Oettingen. Another one of these things is the PERMA model of flourishing. And another one of these things is the grit framework. And so I learned these things about positive psychology that helped me recognize that if I wanted certain outcomes in my mindset, I can follow a framework in order to be able to create these outcomes. And the second thing that I learned from the past 5 years of manifesting my dream life was that manifestation is a skill and everybody can do it, and that it relies on meditation and visualization. And these are very much things that I think we know intellectually, but we don't know how to do it experientially. And that's what I teach in my Dream Life Manifestation course. The third thing that I'm going to teach in my Dream Life Manifestation course is stress management. Because as you've seen throughout this entire time, there have been many, many stressful moments that I've endured. And with the stress management techniques that I teach in the course, I've been able to successfully endure and overcome them and to thrive and be better and to come out better, whole and flourishing each time, every time. The fourth thing that I want to teach in the Dream Life Manifestation course is the digital marketing that I continue to do in my business. And these are things about creating a lead generation magnet. These are things around doing content creation. These are things about creating advertising campaigns and also optimizing your campaigns to make sure that you're reading the data and you're improving it each time. And when you're reading the data and you're improving each time, what you're doing is you're practicing analytical skills, which is something else that I'm going to teach in the Dream Life Manifestation course, which is analytical skills are very much important because they help us understand areas of opportunity and they help us move forward in the ways of things that are working and to also cut things that are not working, which are very much necessary when you want to progress with regards to your dream life. And the fifth thing that I'm going to teach in my Dream Life Manifestation course is sales, because sales is very much an important skill. Because when you have a product, when you have a business, you really want to be able to sell the thing that you have created. You want to sell the product, you want to sell the business because you need to generate an income. And having an income is a very important part of your dream life, because we live in the society where money is a trade for our needs and our wants, and money is also trade for greater opportunities and greater access and greater freedoms in this economy. And so if you want to build and manifest your dream life, it's not just a mystical esoteric practice, it's a action building sequence where you put together the fundamental tenets of a business that's going to lead you to your financial freedom, so that you can escape your 9 to 5 if you're working that, and you can start to put into place these variable streams of income that are going to feed your dream life and are going to enable the freedom that you're looking for. So I really hope that you click below and you join my Dream Life Manifestation course with real business skills, because it's going to enable you over 12 weeks to really turbocharge the development of your dream life, so that you can start to put into place the creation of these streams of income, and know that in addition to whatever work you're doing currently, that as you continue to work on your streams of income going forward, that they will enable the financial freedom that you're looking for, and they will also enable the manifestation of your dream life as you put into practice the business skills with the mindset skills. So don't hesitate. Batch 1 starts on the 26th of August. Click below and join now. Okay, so it being year 5 of me living my dream life makes me very much glad and grateful that I am where I am today. And really look at the view. Look at the view. That over there is like the back of Table Mountain, and this has been my view for the past 10 months, and is going to be my view for another 4 weeks as I continue to like finish out my time here in my dream apartment, in my dream suburb, in my dream city. And I've been living my dream life for the past 5 years, but it has not been easy and it has come with its challenges. But due to the skills that I've continuously put into place over time, I've continued to thrive and flourish, and I've continued to move closer and closer towards the dream and vision that I have for my dream life. And I hope that as you take the learnings over this video, that you will continue to put some of those learnings into practice. And if you join my Dream Life Manifestation course with real business skills, then you will get the upper hand on really solidifying the foundation of your dream life over 12 weeks. Know also that the important things that I recognize about my dream life was that it is a work in progress. And for me to continuously discover what my dream life is requires my planning, and it requires my optimization, and requires my problem solving, and requires my trial and error. And I have to try things here, and I have to see if it works. And if it works, I need to do more. And if it doesn't work, I need to cut that. And each time I practice something, each time I try something, I learn something more. And each time I learn something more, I move closer in the direction that I want to move in. And sometimes things work and sometimes things don't work, but there's so much time that I can have the freedom and opportunity to try again. And even though over this time I've taken jobs like this recent one that I took in the Hyperion Dev place, which didn't work out because I just met some fucked up people and it was just a very much terrible experience. I still did as much as I could with the income that I earned over that time to be able to do some wonderful things. For instance, live in my dream apartment, buy my mom a washing machine, save up my savings to pay months of rent in advance, and continue to build up my business. And um, there's many more wonderful things. Bruce here, I bought Bruce with the income from that job. And it's one of those things where I now see a job not as the be all end all, but as a supplement for income and as an opportunity to take when there's a need to take it. And that's a very much different perspective to what I was introduced to in my family, which was having one job for the rest of your life and being grateful for an income, which really, I understand the gratitude for an income, but I don't understand settling when you have so much of your life ahead of you. And that's what I want to encourage you who's watching this video, is that take more risk in your life and take the opportunity to try and try and try again. And also take the opportunity so that if you fall, that you get up again and you continue moving forward. You might need some time to gather yourself. You might need some time to recover, but you need to continue to move forward and progress in your life. And the only way to do that is to take some introspective time, whether that's in a meditation, whether that's with the planning, and try to get more clear on what your dream life looks like so that you can also develop the courage to follow it and start to build that for yourself, because it's not going to magically fall into your lap. If you focus on the wrong things, that's what you're going to develop. But if you focus on the right things, if you take the time to understand what the right things are, then you can build that for yourself and you can step into your dream life comfortably and know that you worked for it. And you really are glad and grateful that you've taken the time to do so. Okay, so we've reached the end of this podcast, and I want to thank you again for watching. And I just want to summarize by saying that um, when I was depressed and suicidal in 2019, I did not have any indication about how I was going to get out of the shit that I was in. And even though my mind was offering me depressive, suicidal thoughts about ending it all, at the back of my mind, I knew that there was some type of voice. I did not know where. I knew it was different from my inner monologue. It wasn't a voice, it was a knowing that was telling me that just how I got myself into the mess, so too can I get myself out. From that indication, which I got from meditation, because meditation helped me to become more clear on the distinction between the inner monologue and that back of the mind, deep down inside knowing, that meditation also helped me to uncover my authentic self. And who was I and what was I really, and what was my inner motive, what was my inner drive, what did I want to do, what was my life looking like, what did I want for myself. And meditation helped me discover all those things about myself. In addition to that, my trusty diary, I learned diarizing from my mom. And now my trusty diary, which helps me to plan and to track and to write lists and to-dos and progress. I also use my phone notes app. And so I see that putting things onto paper or putting your thoughts out there have been very much helpful for me to take my ideas, thoughts, and visualizations and to develop some type of plan to create them in physical reality. Over the past 5 years, I've started living my dream life from the first year that I decided that I'm going to be in alignment with my authentic self, and I have no regrets since. I'm so glad that I took the courage to do that, and I urge anyone who's watching or listening this to do that for themselves as well. Each time I continue to face my challenges, and some of the greatest challenges I've ever faced in my life have continued to be in my dream life, period. But because I have good coping skills in place, the coping skills that I teach in my dream life manifestation course, such as stress management, that I know each time that I'm going to resolve it, I'm going to overcome it, and I'm going to come out better, more whole, more functioning, brighter, greater than I did before. I also know that it's a trial and error process, and so I need to try and try and try. And each time I try, I learn something. And each time I learn something, I incorporate the thing that I learned, and I be better and better and better each time. And just like you've seen with the incorporation of my business in August 2021, when I called it OG Foundation, all I knew at the time was that I wanted that business to somehow help people be more like me, but help me be more like myself, which I did not at the time. I think at the time I was still learning what myself was, but I wanted to help people become more in alignment with their inner authentic self. And it was going to be some type of business based around meditation or education or something like that. Over the multiple years, the offering has continued to refine itself. It started off with spiritual life coaching. It became Shaun spiritual life coaching. I continue to get one client, two clients, three clients who booked one session, 4 session, 12 session. Then it turned into deep meditation center. Then it turned into deep meditators, which it is currently. But each time I continue to listen to what my clients are saying, and I continue to hear their problems, hear their challenges, hear their needs, and I continue to refine the offering so that it continues to deliver more and more of what I think I want to offer and more of what I know that I've heard from them that they need help with in their lives. So each time it has been an iterative process. And I want to encourage you to take the courage to follow your dreams and to take the courage to think about your inner authentic self and to discover your inner authentic self with the practice of meditation, and which also click down below. My free meditation course is available for instant download. If you want to do that, and start to discover your authentic self, start to plan and build and manifest your dream life. And as someone who's done it, going to year 5 of my dream life, and I'm really so glad and grateful that I've done it. And I've no regrets. I've experienced the most challenges I ever have in my entire life. I've experienced the most challenging things I ever have in my entire life, but I have no regrets because the balance is there, and the balance of the great and wonderful things is so great and wonderful that it overshadows all of the challenges. So I hope that episode 7 has been helpful to share with you how I manifested my dream life over the past 5 years. And I hope I have encouraged you to take the courage to do that for yourself. And if you want some help with manifesting your dream life, then click down below and join my dream life manifestation course with real business skills, which will help you develop a strong foundation to manifest your dream life in terms of mindset and business. And we will do this over 12 weeks, which will have my personal guidance and mentorship over the 12-week period to make sure that at the end of 12 weeks, you have set up your streams of income to be able to set the foundation of your dream life and start to manifest your dream life going forward. If you've enjoyed this podcast, then please give it a like and subscribe for notifications for upcoming episodes. And whether you're listening to this on Spotify or you're watching this on YouTube, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, give it some stars, give it a review. If you want to comment down below, please comment. Let me know what you resonated with in this episode, whether you resonated with anything. Let me know if you agree with anything I said, whether you disagree, and let's start a conversation down below. And I'm so glad and grateful that you've joined us, and thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And I want to wish you a wonderful week and take care. This is Shaun. Bye, everyone.